tried to insert into
Secretary, I want to know
the
why you
city.
insist
So I want
on
to say thank you to
exaggerating
every
and
single
embellishing.
person that has been able to do this.
Hands up, hands up.
Also, I want to talk
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically.
Ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go and put them behind my back.
All right. Cool. Hand with that hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording.
Point. This is a federal building. You can't just, wander in there necessarily. What reporting do you have, and how should we, in your view, be analyzing how we're seeing these agents respond?
Well, it's easy to think about this as one incident, but actually from a law enforcement perspective, we're really looking at three separate incidents that happened within a short period of time. First, you have the DHS secretary who is addressing the press. This was not a Q&A period, and she's interrupted. She's interrupted by someone who is speaking very loudly, and so her security detail confronts what we obviously now know to be the senator, and at that point, he is now going to be escorted out. You can't interrupt something like that that's already in progress without having those consequences. But the second incident, in my view, happens the moment as officers are trying to lead him out, he then turns and walks back towards kind of into those agents. At that point, from a security detail perspective, we're taking this person out against their will. We've asked the person, and again, this is all happening very quickly, but the moment he then turns into them, they realize this is not someone who is going to comply.
Where do I even start? Alex Padilla, senator for California, decided that he had the right to interrupt Kristi Noem in the middle of a press conference addressing the media. Now, does that seem respectful to you? Does that seem like a proper, time to ask a question, right? And I showed you in the video, I gave you a good timeline. In the beginning of the video, he comes in and he immediately just starts talking, hey, Mr. Secretary, I have a question. Didn't identify himself, number one. So her security detail, they say, hey, look, she's in the middle of her press conference. You can't just ask. It's not the time for questions here. It's not the time to ask questions here. Decides to lead him in the back. He resists. Then they amplify it. They escalate because you resisted. Oh, you don't want to leave? Okay, we'll force you to leave against your will. And then he announced himself as a senator. And you got CNN, you got Abby Phillips out here saying, oh, this is disingenuous from Kristi Noem. He clearly identified himself, after he was being forced out. You can replay the intro if you don't believe me, right? And even CNN, right? Abby Phillips, we expected her to, cape for the Democratic Party. We already know her political affiliations. But her colleagues on CNN said, hey, look, you're not following proper protocol. And the funny part is, these statements that these senators make, it always come bite them. No one is above the law. Share if you agree. No one is above the law. Share if you agree. Pretty much, hold yourself to your own standard, Alex Padilla. Sorry, I keep messing up his name for some reason. All right, it's cut and dry here. You're in the wrong here, but he's gonna pretend to be a victim here, right? The 3 Ps: plan, political, performance. This is a political stunt. I think America see through it. I don't think it's getting the kind of influence that he wanted it to have. I think it paints the Democrats in a bad light. And now there's reports that, Gavin Newsom was trying to play this game too. It seemed like a lot of these Democrats are trying to get arrested to play this optic game of Trump being authoritarian, right? But, I digress. I want to show him in his own words, making an attempt to defend himself. But at this point, it falls on deaf ears because even he admitted that he interrupted her during her press conference. He barged in. He didn't wait his turn, right? Because he didn't get his way. He felt like he needed to force the issue. Like, this guy just comes across entitled to me. And even Stephen A can see.
In the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues, have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested.
You have this Senator Alex Padilla. Can Kristi Noem speak? Could you have waited till she finished to ask your questions? To shout your questions? You are a senator, right? You couldn't wait? So that was just you out of control because you were just losing it, huh? You, a United States Senator, couldn't compose yourself and let the head of Homeland Security finish her thoughts before you asked the question. Couldn't do that, huh? Couldn't do it, huh?
Like I said in the beginning of this video, in the first part of this video, he comes across very entitled to me, right? So you couldn't wait your turn. You felt like your question needed to be answered right that moment, interrupting her while she's addressing the press. Like, because you can't just force your way because you want it your way. This ain't McDonald's, right? And this is what I wrote here. So you force your way in, you force your way through because you felt like your answers, you wasn't getting the attention that you wanted. You wanted Kristi Noem to come and give you, answers to your questions. And apparently Kristi Noem said and claimed that after this detainment or whatever happened to this guy, she went and went to talk to him afterwards, after he got escorted out of the room. And this makes no sense to me. And I don't know how I don't know how Abby Phillips is going to spin this, because she was out here on X defending this stuff, saying, oh, he clearly identified himself. No, he didn't. And then you want to call Kristi Noem a liar? Make it make sense. Planned political performance. Planned political drama. This is why I said Democrats, they're just a party of actors. They're a party of, hey, let's look good. This is why I call Democrats D for deceitful. This is some deceitful tactics that this California Democrat is trying to employ. And this is the problem with dogmatic states like California, New York. You can make the same argument about Texas. Hell, I'll give it to you, right? Just to keep it politically balanced, right? But when you got a Democrat like this, he thinks these kind of theatrics will work on a national scale. It may work on Californians. It may work on people who already feel like Trump is a fascist, authoritarian government. And you guys were trying to play this optic games? What? Make it make sense. I see why a lot of you guys were running, arrest me then, Gavin Newsom. And then here's this guy do. He did something that actually got him arrested. And I don't think it's getting the attention, the kind of attention that he wants. But, I digress. Let's look at the CNN panel as they discuss the events between Kristi Noem's news conference and Alex Padilla.
Being treated quite that way.
We just received a statement from the office of Senator Padilla, and they say that he's currently in Los Angeles exercising his duty to perform congressional oversight of the federal government's operations in Los Angeles across California. It goes on to say that he tried to ask the secretary a question and was forcibly removed by federal agents, forced to the ground and handcuffed. He is not currently detained.
This makes no sense. That's why I played his clip. He even admit that he, in the middle of her press conference, I wanted to ask a question. You couldn't wait your turn? You feel that that's what I'm talking about. He felt that entitled to interrupt someone in the middle of their news press conference. Because what? Who is he? Who is he? Oh, I'm a senator from California. And this is Homeland Security. You're in a federal building. What authority do you have in that jurisdiction? None. But he pretends he's some privileged person. And this is how Democrats walk around sometimes. That's why I say sometimes Democrats act like there's some type of nobility class. Like they can just do whatever the hell they want. They can break the rules. They can skirt the rules. And they've been feeling so comfortable being above the law. And this is a joke. This is a joke of a statement. This is why everyone's retweeting his previous statements he made to Donald Trump during the 2020, during the last year when Trump was getting prosecuted by the DOJ. Now he's getting mad that he's getting the same fire that he was just praising for. No one's above the law, correct? But you somehow feel like you are. You're above decorum. Okay, person's in the middle of the press conference. I feel like I need to interrupt her and ask a question. You were looking to make a moment. Everyone see this as a performance. It's so outside of like normal conduct in a press conference that it's so blatantly obvious you were looking to get attention on yourself. And that's why you went and initiate the interruption. But I don't think you're getting the attention you actually want, Padilla.
And we are working to get additional information. David, over and over, we've heard from voters in different parts of the country talking about how they want to see Democrats confront the administration on some of these issues like immigration. I mean, it gets handsy, but Padilla was trying to make a statement there.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, she was holding a press conference and doing a press statement. He's not a member of the press. It wasn't like a hearing where it was an open forum for senators to ask a question. He clearly showed up to a public event to create a moment and do what you're saying, sort of show his constituents, not just Democrats, but that he's fighting from his perspective. Again, I think the question is, was this the appropriate response of how it got dealt with in that moment and how that plays to your...
My question would be, was that the appropriate approach to get your outcome, right? And this is the tactics that I think Americans are seeing clearly, is that, okay, you just did this for a moment, a stunt, and this will make Democrats happy, but independents, we're like, yo, like there was a better kind of way you could have done that. But instead, you want to focus on the response. That makes no sense to me. The response to me was appropriate. Some guy came up, randomly started asking questions to the secretary while she's doing a press conference. Security say, hey, quiet down. We're going to lead you in the back. And you resist them. And then they're like, oh, we're going to have to remove you now. And now that's when you want to identify yourself as they're forcing you out. Come on. But, you know, the liberals will make excuses for this.
Your point, though, I mean, what we're seeing politically is a very divided country over the support and opposition. It's almost evenly divided in a Washington Post poll today over the president's actions and policies here, both over the president putting in the Guard and the Marines there, right? But also we see an evenly divided country over support and opposition to the protests to ICE's action.
You might also, in a situation like this, say, what kind of moment was the senator looking for? But I also would note, and I'm curious just if you can speak to kind of the norms of things. Normally, you have a situation where there's more interaction, even between members of Congress who maybe don't see eye to eye with the White House. They are a little able, at least, to have some kind of interactions. There really are no avenues, I think, for members of Congress to get the ear of someone at the White House if they're not.
And it goes back to what I was saying, entitlement. So you didn't get their ear, so you said, okay, I'm gonna force my way in. I'm gonna just force myself on you to get my questions answered because I'm so important. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's playing well for him, Alex Padilla. Let's let her finish her statement.
Not seen as very in line with President Trump.
I mean, I think it depends on the issue and the personnel, right, that find access points to certain things. But
yeah, I didn't get what I wanted to see, but hey, I think you got the gist of what's going on. This Alex Padilla guy, I think, you know, it probably played well to his base, right? But I think if you're a non-Democrat, this looked strange. Like, okay, you didn't get what you want, so you threw a tantrum and you ran in and decided to just force the issue, force your way in the middle of her doing something. Alex Padilla and the 3 Ps, plan, political, performance. I gotta show that like. This senator aggressively approached Secretary Noem. He needed a mandatory mental health treatment. Look, like this is he's just started asking questions. Like, let's go play by play. Because, you know, the media is spinning this and think we're done. We're dumb. Sorry, guys. So let's take a little quick peek. So
tried to insert
Secretary, I want to know why you insist
So I want to
on-
say
See,
thank you.
in the middle of her, he just started asking his question, just right in the middle of her doing her, just start asking her questions. And then when her security detail try to remove you, you resist. And then when it escalates to you getting handcuffed, you want to make yourself a victim. Make it make sense. This is the Democratic Party for you. This is why I said the Democratic Party don't really offer anything to Americans right now. Democrats, y'all need to be on timeout, bruh. And every stunt y'all do, every little game y'all play, it just makes you guys look even worse. And it's no wonder no one trusts your leadership. No one believes that you're an effective opposition because the way you're opposing Trump is ineffective in of itself. It's not an alternative. It's just resistance. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comments below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.